Creatine. The label says explosive power. For once, the label is not doing anything clever. Your muscles keep a small battery for very short, very hard efforts. The first few seconds of a sprint, the last 2 reps of a heavy set. Creatine fills that battery further than food alone can. That's the whole mechanism. It doesn't build muscle. It lets you do slightly more work. And the work builds the muscle. 3 to 5 grams a day. Monohydrate. The cheapest tub on the shelf. No loading phase, no cycling, no timing. It works on a Tuesday at 4 in the afternoon exactly as well as it works after training. You will gain about a kilo in the first weeks, and it will be water inside the muscle, not fat. Everyone panics about this. Nobody needs to. This is the one tub in the cupboard that earns its shelf. Whey protein. The label says muscle growth. What it actually sells is a shortcut past cooking. Whey is milk protein with the water and most of the fat and sugar taken out. It digests fast, and it has all 9 amino acids you can't make yourself. That's genuinely useful. What it is not is a growth signal. Your muscles respond to your protein total for the day, not to the container it arrived in. Around 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, from anything. Chicken counts, eggs count, Greek yogurt counts, a shake counts. So, whey is worth it exactly when hitting that number with food is annoying, which for most people with a job is most days. It's a convenience product wearing a performance costume. Casein, the other milk protein, and the label's angle here is nighttime. Casein digests slowly, so it trickles amino acids into your blood for hours instead of minutes. That part is true. Whether it matters is a different question. Studies comparing overnight protein to just eating enough during the day find very little between them. It's fine. It's protein. It tastes like a milkshake that gave up. If you like it before bed, have it. Mass gainer. The label says 1200 calories per serving, and it is not lying. It just doesn't mention what they are. Turn the bucket around. Most of that number is maltodextrin, which is a sugar with an engineering degree. You're buying calories at 4 times the price of food and drinking them, which is why people who can't eat enough still can't finish the shake. If you struggle to gain weight, the cheaper version is oats, milk, peanut butter, and a banana in a blender. Same calories, roughly the same speed, no bucket. The bucket is a very confident way to sell sugar. Pre-workout. The label says focus, energy, and pump, printed in a font that's trying to intimidate you. Here's what's actually in the scoop. Caffeine, usually 200 to 350 milligrams, so somewhere between 1 and 3 coffees. Beta-Alanine, which we'll get to. Citrulline, which we'll also get to. And then a long tail of ingredients at doses too small to do anything, listed to make the label look full. The bit that matters is the caffeine. Everything you feel in the first 20 minutes is the caffeine. The tingling is not the drug working. It's a side effect of a different ingredient, and it costs you nothing. Watch for the words proprietary blend. That means the doses are hidden, and doses are hidden when they're small. Coffee does most of this for about 30 cents. Just don't take either at 9 in the evening and then act surprised at 1 in the morning. Beta-Alanine. This is the tingle. The face, the scalp, the forearms, harmless, and gone in half an hour. What it actually does is unrelated to that feeling. It slowly builds up something in your muscle that buffers acid, which helps in efforts lasting roughly 1 to 4 minutes. Higher rep sets. Rowing. Anything where the burn is what stops you, not the weight. 2 catches. It needs about 3 to 6 grams every day for 4 weeks before it does anything, and it does nothing at all for a heavy set of 5. So the tingle you feel on day 1 is proof of nothing, except that you took it. Citrulline. The label says pump, and this is the ingredient actually responsible for it. Citrulline raises nitric oxide, your blood vessels relax slightly, more blood gets to the working muscle. The pump is real, and mostly cosmetic. What's more interesting is that it seems to buy you a rep or 2 on later sets. Small, but it's one of the few pump ingredients with anything behind it at all. 6 to 8 grams, 40 minutes before, which is roughly 6 times what most pre-workouts contain, printed proudly on the front. Arginine. Same promise as Citrulline, sold for longer, and it barely survives the trip. Swallow arginine and your gut and liver break most of it down before it reaches your blood. The irony is excellent. The reliable way to raise arginine in your body is to take citrulline, because citrulline gets through and then converts. It's a supplement that works best when you buy the other one. Beetroot, or nitrate. Purple, unpleasant, and genuinely one of the better supported things in this video. For endurance. Nitrate makes your muscles use oxygen a little more efficiently, so the same pace costs you less. For a lifter, that's close to irrelevant. For someone running, riding or rowing for over 10 minutes, it's a small real edge. Also, spinach and rocket are full of it, which no label has ever wanted to mention. BCAAs. The label says preserve muscle, and this one deserves a proper look, because it's the most successful supplement in this video by revenue and one of the least useful by evidence. There are 9 amino acids your body can't make. BCAAs are 3 of them. Building muscle with 3 of 9 is like being delivered a third of a wall and being told to expect a house. And here's the part that ends the argument. If you already eat enough protein, every one of those 9 is already in your blood. Adding 3 more changes, nothing. Studies comparing BCAAs to whey are consistently boring in exactly this way. They taste like blue. That's the product. EAAs. The industry's answer to that problem. All 9 this time, so at least the wall gets finished. EAAs do work. The trouble is what they're competing with. Whey is a complete protein, costs less per serving, and fills you up. The only real case for EAAs is if dairy destroys you or you can't stomach food before a morning session. A more expensive way to arrive at the same place is still a way to arrive. Glutamine. The label says recovery and immune support. And this is the quietest failure on the shelf. Glutamine is the most common amino acid in your body, and your body makes it. It genuinely matters. For burns patients, for people with damaged guts, in hospitals, through a drip. That research is real, and it is where the marketing came from. In a healthy person who lifts and eats, adding more does approximately nothing. It has been tested repeatedly for soreness, for strength, for immunity, and it keeps coming back with a shrug. It's a hospital product wearing gym clothes. Fat burners. The cupboard has 11 tubs in it now. 9 of them were bought in January. The label says thermogenic, which means it raises your body temperature slightly, which is true and worth almost nothing. Open one up and it's caffeine, green tea extract, and something to make the ingredient list longer. There is one honest effect in there, and it isn't burning. Caffeine blunts appetite. That's it. That's the mechanism the whole category is built on. You eat a bit less, you lose a bit of weight, and the bottle takes the credit. Some of them add yohimbine, which is where the racing heart and the anxiety come from, and which is a genuinely poor trade for 200 grams a month. L-Carnitine. Carnitine's job is to carry fat into the part of the cell that burns it, which sounds like exactly the thing you'd want to buy more of. The problem is getting it into the muscle. Swallowing it barely raises muscle levels at all. The studies that do show anything needed either injections or a large insulin spike alongside it, which involves eating a pile of sugar. Fat burning was never waiting on the taxi. It was waiting on the deficit. Testosterone Boosters. Tribulus. D-aspartic acid. A box with a silhouette on it and a name that sounds like a fighter jet. Tested in men with normal testosterone, these do not raise testosterone. Not a little. The trials are not ambiguous, and there are a lot of them. Now the fair part, because it explains why the category refuses to die. Some of them contain zinc and vitamin D, and if you are genuinely low on those, your testosterone can rise when you fix that. So the pill occasionally works, as a multivitamin, at 10 times the price of a multivitamin. And if you actually suspect your testosterone is low, that's a blood test, not a purchase. Feeling flat for 6 months is a thing to get measured, not a thing to season. Ashwagandha. The label says stress, cortisol, recovery, and unusually for this shelf, there are decent trials behind it. People taking it report lower stress and better sleep, and cortisol does measurably drop. The effects are modest, and most of the studies are small and short. What it isn't is a strength supplement, no matter how it's marketed to lifters. 2 practical notes. It takes weeks, not days. And there are case reports of liver problems, rare but real, so it's not one to take permanently without thinking about it. Sleeping better makes you better at the gym. It just does it through your bed, not your muscles. Collagen. Salt for skin. Quietly interesting for tendons. As a protein, it's poor. It's missing tryptophan, so it can't do what whey does. And swapping your protein shake for collagen is a downgrade. But taken with vitamin C, about an hour before you load the joint, there's early evidence it helps tendons and ligaments adapt. Small studies. Promising, not settled. So if you're buying it for your knees, that's defensible. If you're buying it for your face, the tub is doing the heavy lifting. Vitamin D. This is the one nobody hypes, and quite a lot of people actually need. Your skin makes it from sunlight. If you live north of Madrid, work indoors, and it's anywhere between October and March, you are making almost none of it. Being low is linked to worse bone health, worse immune function, and low mood. And in people who are deficient, fixing it can improve strength. That last bit is the catch. Topping up when you're already fine does nothing. This is a deficiency to correct, not a performance drug. 1,000 to 2,000 international units a day in winter is a reasonable, boring dose. A blood test is better than a guess. Omega-3, fish oil, and the two letters that matter are EPA and DHA. Everything useful in the research is about those two, and plenty of cheap capsules contain almost none of them. It lowers triglycerides, it dampens inflammation, and there's some evidence for joint comfort and mood. For building muscle, the effect is small at best. 2 portions of oily fish a week does the same job and comes with dinner. The capsules are for people who won't eat the fish, which is most people, honestly. Magnesium, involved in hundreds of reactions in your body, which is the kind of sentence every label loves, because it's true and tells you nothing. Real deficiency shows up as cramps, poor sleep, and fatigue, and it's reasonably common in people who don't eat many greens, nuts, or whole grains. Fixing it helps. Adding it on top of a good diet mostly doesn't. One thing worth knowing: the cheapest form, magnesium oxide, is absorbed badly. Citrate or glycinate costs slightly more and actually get in. The rest of the magnesium industry is selling you a very well-absorbed feeling. Zinc and its bodybuilding costume, ZMA. Zinc matters for immunity and for hormone production, and being low is bad. Correcting a deficiency can raise testosterone. Taking more when you're fine does not. That's the same trick the booster aisle runs, one shelf over. ZMA is zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6 in one capsule with a sports name on it. The evidence for the combination specifically is thin, and high-dose zinc long-term blocks your copper absorption, which is a strange own goal to score, in pursuit of a hormone you already had. Multivitamins, insurance, and priced like it. If your diet is genuinely varied, a multivitamin will not make you feel or perform better, and the surplus mostly lives in your urine. If your diet is a bit narrow, dieting hard, cutting out food groups, eating the same 4 meals since 2021, then it's a cheap way to cover the gaps. It's the least exciting product on the shelf, and the only one that admits it. Greens powder. The label says a serving of vegetables, and this is the neatest sleight of hand in the whole shop. Powdered vegetables keep some of the vitamins. What they lose is the fiber and the volume, which is most of the reason vegetables are good for you. A scoop in water is not a bowl of broccoli, and it doesn't fill you up like one either. If you eat no vegetables at all, it's better than nothing. It's just an expensive way to be slightly better than nothing. Electrolytes. Sodium, potassium, magnesium in a sachet in flavors. You lose these when you sweat heavily, and replacing them genuinely matters if you're training for over an hour in heat, or doing endurance events, or you're one of those people whose shirt has a permanent salt map on it. For a 45-minute session in an air-conditioned gym, the sachet is a drink with a job title. Salt on your food already covers it. One last thing, and it applies to every tab in this video. Nobody checks what's in them before they're sold. Not the front of the label, not the dose, not the ingredient list. In most countries, a supplement can go on a shelf without anyone testing whether it contains what it says. The checking happens afterwards, if someone complains, if someone gets hurt. Which is why independent labs keep opening products and finding less than the label claims, or something the label never mentioned. It isn't a conspiracy. It's just what happens when the person writing the claim is also the only person who ever reads it. So, buy creatine monohydrate. Buy protein if food is inconvenient. Get vitamin D tested if it's winter and you live indoors. Look for a third-party tested seal, NSF, or informed sport, because that's someone other than the label doing the talking. And ignore anything whose main selling point is a word in capital letters. The man with the cupboard put one tub back on the shelf this week and kept training. He looks exactly the same. His bank account doesn't. What's in your cupboard that you've never once noticed working? Tell me which one. I'll go and read the studies.